Hey guys, Dean here from fitnessnetworking.com, and today I'm going to be going over the basic training systems. By understanding this area, it's going to help you get a grasp on what you do, why you're doing it, allowing you to get the most benefit out of each workout. Okay, so the main reason why I'm making this video is because some of the most common questions I get in the gym are: how many exercises should I do? How many reps should I do? How many sets should I do? How often should I work out? And how long should I rest between each exercise? These are the basics that everyone should really get a grasp of before they start. Even if you've been in the gym for years, this is also going to be a benefit to you, because at the end of the day, we do all have very similar bodies on how they work. Okay, so as you can see, I've laid this out in grid form. We got 4 areas. So we've got strength, hypertrophy, which just means muscle building. We've got endurance, and we've got cardiovascular. Alright, let's start off with strength. If we look at the intensity, it's going to be quite high because we're going to be lifting close to what our body's maximum force is. This means the percentage of the 1 rep max. As you can see just below, load as percentage of 1 rep max. This is at 85%. So for example, if you can lift 85 kilos and we're trying to build strength, you take 85% off the 100 kilos, which is 85 kilos, and that is a good weight you should be using to help build up your strength. Now for the reps, you're going to do this 1 to 5 times. Of course, the higher the percentage is for your 1 rep max, the less reps you're going to do. So if you're going to go with the 85%, the best is to start off with the 5 reps. And if you go up past 90 or above, it's best to drop it down to 3 or less. So when it comes to the recovery between the sets, this one is a little bit longer. So we need about 3 to 5 minutes for the body to fully recover, because once you've moved such a heavy weight that's 85% of your max force, your body needs a little bit more time to recover. This will take about 3 to 5 minutes. This is to allow the ATP in the body to recover. What that basically means is just give your muscle enough time to fully recover so you can get the most amount of force out of it for your next set. Now this will change depending on the person. Some people will need the 3 minutes, some people may need the 5 minutes. This is just a rough estimate. As you continue on working out and you get used to this system, you'll find what's best for yourself, and then you can start to go by the different feeling of how you feel, how the muscle feels. Then we look at how many sets do we need to do, and this is usually about 2 to 6, but this one's going to depend on what is your goal. So for standard strength training, the recommended area to start off with is doing 5 by 5. So do 5 reps, 5 sets at 85% of your 1 rep max with a 3 to 5 minute rest time. Then it comes down to the frequency. So how often should you do this throughout the week? And for strength training, it's recommended to do it 1 to 2 times per week per muscle group. Because if you try to train more than the 2 times per week, your body will not have enough time to fully recover before you go to do it again. But as we are talking about 1 rep max, if you guys are interested in understanding more about that area and how to calculate your own 1 rep max, go to fitnessnetworking.com, click on the quick select menu and click 1RM calculator, and it's really going to help you find what levels you should be at. Okay, next we have hypertrophy, or muscle building. This is moderate, so we'll be putting the body under quite a bit of stress, but not as much as the strength training would have. This is going to be around 65 to 85% of your 1 rep max, and we're going to go about 6 to 12 reps with a rest time of 1 to 2 minutes. For the average person, I usually recommend starting off with the first 60 seconds as the rest time. If you need longer, to take a bit longer, but usually keep it around the 60-second mark. Okay, so for the sets per exercise, you're going to need to do around 3 to 6 sets for the best results on this one. When it comes to this, 3 is usually for the beginner level, and then 6 is more advanced. For the average person and the standard in the industry, you'll usually see programs mainly give around 10 reps by 5 sets with a 90-second rest time. That's a good overall average for just muscle building. And again, here the same for the frequency per week. You're going to train 1 to 2 times per muscle group. so you don't overtrain and you can let the muscle fully recover. Next, we're on to endurance. This is going to have a low impact and it's not going to be very intense because it's going to be quite easy for you to perform. But because we're doing such a high number of reps, it's really going to fatigue and tire the muscle out. With this one, we're going to be going under 67% of our 1RM. This will allow you to hit around 15 to 20 reps per set. Because with endurance training, this one morely comes down to how much can you push the muscle for a longer period of time, pushing through that burning sensation rather than just trying to lift a heavier weight. With this one, you're going to rest around 30 to 60 seconds. Because compared to the strength training, in the strength training we were trying to let the muscle fully recover to get as much force as possible, whereas with the endurance training we're trying to make the muscle work as long and as hard as possible. With this one, you train about 2 to 3 sets per exercise. You can do a couple more, but 2 to 3 is perfectly fine. You can train this one 2 to 3 times per week, so you can do a little bit more compared to the hypertrophy or the strength training, but you still don't want to go over the 3 times per week. Alright, so if you guys are interested in understanding more about why this system works, check out my video on understanding muscle. I go to fitnessnetworking.com and go to the understanding exercise tab, and it will break down why we train with these systems and the impact on how it's going to tear down the muscle fibers and how the muscle is going to rebuild itself. Okay, so the last area to look at. Alright guys, so the last area we're going to look at is the cardiovascular system. This is going to be around 60 to 90% of our maximum heart rate. Alright, in order to get our maximum heart rate, we do have a formula to use. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the number 220, you're going to minus your age, you're then going to divide it by 100, and then you're going to multiply by the percentage you want. So for example, 25 from 220, we end up with 195. If we divide this by 100, we end up with 1.95, and if we multiply it by 80, we'll end up with 156. So if your age is 25, this will give you a max heart rate of around 156 beats per minute. So depending on your goal, your heart rate may change, and depending on the level you want to push yourself. When it comes to getting into exercise or weight loss, I generally recommend to start off between the 60 to 70% mark for a period of 15 or 20 minutes or longer. You can also do 1 set per this, which is perfectly fine, or you can do more if you want to mix up your training. And then the frequency, I usually recommend to do this 3+ times per week, but with this one it's unlimited, so the more you do, the better it can be. Of course, that is within reason. You don't want to push yourself too far till your body's fully at its limit, but if you are going to do 30 minutes a day, will be perfectly fine sticking around that training zone of around 60% of your maximum heart rate. Okay, so the graph gave us a good breakdown of what to do, but there is a couple of areas that it did leave out. One of them is what type of exercise should you do? And this really comes down to what is your goal. So if you want to find out more about that area, check out my video on goal settings and it will really help you break down that area. Also, another area that it doesn't cover is how fast should the movement be and is the form correct. First off, if your form is wrong, it's going to be an issue. And even if you start training in the right rep ranges with the right rest time, it still might not provide the best results. When it comes to the speed of the movement, there's a few different ways you can do this and different ways to challenge you. The main reason is that the longer you have to push, so the slower the rep is, the more time under tension your muscle is, and the longer that contraction is, making the muscle work harder. And even with that system in place, the one question I always still get is what's best for a beginner? And the best is to start off in the endurance column and work your way up. By performing a high number of reps, it lets you get an idea of what it feels like to lift weights in a certain exercise and a specific form. This is also good for just making sure you have it perfect before you start to go on to heavier and heavier weights. By doing high number of reps, it will also help you create a mind-muscle connection, understanding how to move the muscle, how to squeeze the muscle, and how it should feel when you're at that higher rep range or with a heavier weight. So for most people, I usually recommend starting off with at least the first month in the gym of sticking to an endurance style of training before moving up. So that means at least 15 to 20 reps, 2 to 3 sets on the exercise that you're doing for at least 1 month. And the last area I feel I should throw in is the need for progression. As you do more and more workouts, your body is going to start to adapt to the workout and it's become less and less efficient. So you need to keep your body guessing, you need to keep the challenge available. And there is a number of ways to do this, but when should you do it? So on average, they say that the body needs about 16 workouts before it starts to adapt, or around 4 weeks of training. But again, everyone is different, and the old saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you're using something and you can see consistent progress and it's working extremely well for you, there's no need to change it. If it works, it works. But if you do start to hit a plateau, then it's time for a change. So the best ways to change for the progression is usually by two. You can either change the tempo, so we're going back to the speed of the movement there. You can slow it down and make the contraction harder, making the muscle work that a little bit harder. Or you can add more weight. Usually when it comes to adding more weight, it's recommended to add up about 3 to 5 kilos for the lower body and around 2 to 3 kilos for upper body movements. Of course, we have bigger and smaller muscle groups, so this will differ. For example, if you're going with a bench press, you could probably add on an extra kilo per side every couple of weeks, whereas if you were going with some side raises, you could only maybe add on half a kilo. And with the legs being such a huge muscle group in the body, you can probably add on about 2 to 3 kilos a leg depending on your strength and depending on the exercise. If you guys do have any questions or you want a hand trying to figure out what's best for yourself, leave a comment down below and I'll try to get back to you and give you as much advice as possible. If you are curious on how to set goals as well, or to how to perform exercise, check out some of our other videos here or go to fitnessnetworking.com and you can scroll through the website and find all of our different articles on these topics.